So our next speaker is Mr. Mohammad Wasim. He is VP and Global Lead for Cloud and DevOps CEO Publicis Sapient. Mr. Wasim is responsible for driving the growth strategy for Publicis Sapient's IT modernization value proposition and runs cloud, DevOps, security and SRE practice and CEO worldwide. Apart from building a service portfolio, corporate strategic alliances, he is also responsible for delivery. He is accountable for defining engineering, competency and scaling capabilities. His topic is DevSecOps, headwinds or tailwinds. Welcome, Mr. Wasim.
Thank you. So while I get wired up, just want to do a quick clarification in the introduction. I'm not the CEO. Yep. I'm the lead for the practice and the COE. I generally feel very good when I feel myself as a CEO. And because I'll get like a very different level of salary every month.
You're also looking good, sir.
But where did it go? There you go. I'll manage, don't worry.
1 second, sir, we'll just try it. It's happening, sir.
Okay.
It's happening.
That's good.
Front and back.
You already steal the thunder of my 2 slides. Thank you so much. I know that you guys have now by now forgotten the introduction that was given to you. Let me talk about myself. If you see the first one, I am very bad at it. Second one, I am trying very hard. The third one is that I do for living. The first part and the second part actually helps me to be a better role for the corporate world. I lead group for cloud and DevOps for Sapient across the world, and my job is to tell stories and get people adopt technology and the trends of technology to be relevant to solve the problem for the world. That's what I do. Storytelling is a very important part of my life because no matter how much presentation that you do on technology, people only tend to listen and keep things in their mind when you tell through a story. So that I do quite a bit, and that has also actually helped me to go and interact and do a very positive and healthy conversation with my son, because no matter how hard I tell him that to study hard, he would not. But when I go and tell the story about like what it makes people big, small, whatever, if I tell them to a story, people actually will listen to me. And the golf is one thing that I've started learning. This is like from the mindset of continuous learning. It is actually making me much more mature and much more stable. Right? I look 40 just because of golf, but it gives me maturity of 50 years old. And it actually helps me also understand that you have to behave the way the situation is. You cannot be always the guy with lots of muscles and push yourself through. So that's what me is here. Actually, this thing is actually a bit troubling me. I don't know whether we have a hand mic. We have a hand mic? No. Okay. No worries. I'll try to see. I do not swallow this microphone. Okay. So, how many people know Publicis Sapient? 1, 2, 3, 4. Only my team. One of a few guys who actually are looking at what's happening in the industry. So Publicis Sapient, Publicis acquired Sapient some 3.5 years back, and they acquired to get in the space of digital marketing. And before that, or they are still today one of the biggest and the largest of conventional advertising company. I definitely need the mic. A hand mic, please. Yeah. And Sapient has been a company that have been part of the industry of technology, and we came to the world with a fixed time, fixed price model some 25 years back. And after that, we went there and started like client server technology, and since then we have been going out and playing at a very niche area of helping the clients to relevant for future. Okay, hello? Yep. Yeah, so Publicis Sapient as of today runs this strategy as a vision, and the strategy for Publicis Sapient is of basically helping organization drive their business on digital. So we take pride in actually driving the digital business strategy for the organization across the world. We engage ourselves at the board level, and from the board level we come down to actually implement lots of engineering assets for the company so that they are actually present in the present world, they are relevant in the present world, and as they move forward, they continue to be relevant. So we try to get in a framework to make them more relevant. What is we are going to talk about in next 30 minutes? We are going to talk about the context in which we are living today. We are going to talk about what are the engineering transformations that are happening across the world, and then we are going to talk about this aspect of security. And when we talk about aspect of security, we would talk about with lots of positivity in it, not about like lots of hurdles that security actually put us to all the creative guys that we are, and the guys who try to like go out and push lots of technical products to the market for the consumption. Yep. And that's why we are saying that we would likely understand whether the security when it comes to our life in the space of technology, is it a headwind or is it a tailwind? Yep. Okay. So let's see like who's the new boss today. How many guys believe that this statement is true? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So as of today in this room, because all of you guys are technologists, you play two roles here. First, you yourself is a boss because you are a consumer, right? You consume all the things that are being produced by various corporates. You consume that, so you are the most powerful person in the face of those companies. And when it comes for you to work or play a role of the company, then you basically have to look at yourself that how you're going to serve this powerful consumer. Gone are the days when any corporate would like to sell you something, they'll put a very big hoarding or a fancy ad that would actually make you buy a product which you would have not alternative of, or neither you will have any way to give feedback to improve the product, or even like discontinue that product for a company. So lots of companies, if you see in past, have been like running a product for ages, and we have no other thing to do but to actually take that without finding any improvement in our lives. So as of today, what we believe is that the consumer or the customer as of today is the core. He's the guy or she is the person who actually plays the most important role in defining the strategies for the organization. Yeah, it is the consumer who's defining the strategy and driving the organization so that they can actually meet you in time in moments that you want. So that's why you should believe as a consumer how powerful you are, that you can bring down and actually bring or scale up any organization that exists today. And who do you think is the person who is driving this? Who is making this empowerment coming to the consumer? Any guesses? User. How does user become so powerful? He has to have something as an ammunition and armor to be that. I believe there is nobody in this room. And what it is technology, right? It is just because that technology has connected us so well, and it has actually gone out and is now sitting in every nook and corner of our house, of our life. Whether we are in a bedroom or whether we are driving to office or work, technology is the medium through which you are consuming content and putting your content up there in order for people to make decision for you. Yep. And because of this, if you really look at it, every technology company has become a technology company today, right? Now, if I remember, like when I was in school, I was reading about this, about like computers, where you used to say, define a computer. The computer was a diligent device that will not give, do an error, and will continue to work like a horse or a donkey, right? And it will continue to perform a work. And at that time, the technology was being consumed by the corporates at the back office, right? Everything that you want to do more diligently, quicker, longer, heavy work was done by technology sitting in the back office. Now, with technology getting connected, every consumer, right, it has come in the front end, and now the way you have to do business is through technology, through virtuality, and that's where every company now will become a tech company. And as you see moving forward, every organization, the role of technologists that used to sit and manage fancy data centers are actually moving towards the board and letting it go, letting the data center go and move towards the board center, to board and contribute to the business strategy for the organization. And that's why, if you really look at it, when I said that when companies were giving you some product which was not changing and you were forced to consume, because of your feedback, what you want, your instant gratification as a consumer, organization who are not listening to you are actually getting away from the map. The new organizations are coming in, and the life cycle of each company have averagely reduced a lot from 65 years to now an average of 18 years. Right? And that's the big struggle that is happening today, whether you look at the retail industry, whether you look at hospitality industry, or whether you look at a CPG industry. Everybody is struggling big time to figure out how should I actually go out and face the world, the guys who actually drive technology and run businesses using technology. A great example is Amazon. If you really look at it, Amazon is actually giving a run for money for all the retailers, right? They are into groceries now, they are getting into finance now. So everybody is big concern about their work in the retail. Same thing happened for the transportation, right? How Uber has changed the complete world, right? With technology. They don't own any fleet, right? They own the platform, and through the platform you have actually taken away lots of people who used to run various businesses in transportation. Now, if I am from Delhi, and I remember that in Delhi, every sector would have a taxi stand, and you were at mercy of the taxi stand. Now, if you go to each sector, you will not find anybody, right? So now you're an empowered customer, and whenever you talk to an Uber person, right, how cordial that person is just because you are empowered to give him a feedback after the ride, and that matters a lot to him, right? Earlier, you were at mercy of the taxi driver, how he drives it, where he drops you, and what of a condition of the car that he would actually produce for you, right? So that's how the world is changing, that's how technology is driving. But when we are actually talking about technology, subject of this conversation is more around security. Why are we emphasizing on security so much? Any questions? Oh, sorry, any answers, any reactions, any comments on that? I'll tell you why. So till the time technology was sitting in a data center performing some end of day job, right? Security was not that a big concern. You used to have security all over the place, sitting somewhere in the corner, and they were making some roadblocks for you guys. But as we move forward, we are actually handing over our lives to security or to technology. When I say when you are handing your lives, for example, Tesla, where you actually sit in the car, you actually have given that time, whatever distance you are driving, to technology, right? If something happens to the car, a breach happens, a car get compromised, you can imagine what it could be, right? And do not believe that because of technology that is happening out there, the bad guys will go away. As we are finding more revenues and avenues for ourselves as we move to a newer age of technology, the bad guys are actually coming and getting more revenue for themselves. Right? It's only a perspective through which we look at the world. We look ourselves as good. We want to work there, right? That we are good, but the same guys, the other guys, on the bad guys, the dark network is also looking at avenues to generate more revenue for themselves. So they would go after this. So that's why security is so important as we move forward, because it's going to like enter our lives maybe like very soon in our bodies too. Yeah, hence security becomes immense important. And how do we handle that? It cannot be in a state of it's not my security, somebody else's job. So that's why we would like to talk about very briefly about whether it's a headwind or whether it's a tailwind, but the importance remains that it is important how we can actually make sure that it becomes a tailwind from being a headwind, because as of today, it's a headwind. And the way I basically narrate that is that how it is a headwind, if you really look at it, any checkpoints, right? Forget about technology for a time. Look at any checkpoint that you have, and there is a lots of checks and balance that you have to do. And if that checks and balance is not efficient, what you do end up doing? You end up missing your meetings, you end up missing your loved ones to see them off at the airport, or even pick them late, right? That's a huge emotional disruption that happens inside you, right? So, see, because in that scenario, security is not part of embedded in you, but you have actually outsourced to somebody else, and he is performing that job or a gatekeeper of that security. They're not doing a bad job, by the way. They're doing their job, but they are doing in a fashion that is actually hindering you from moving fast, moving quicker, and more in a state of happiness. Yeah. What happens if this group of people or a role or the framework of security becomes like seamless, embedded in us, so that when we move around, security is walking with me, right? And I'm also making sure that I'm robust toward, and every aspect of the security is taken care. What happens, right? Right? Lots of people, if you really go and have this conversation, this is most of the conversation that I do with my clients, this is the reaction that I get. What? Because if you really look at it, any organization construct, most of the guys would have a very security office sitting somewhere outside, right? They do not interact with anybody in the development or the operation side. They said that, oh, whenever you have done, come to me, I will approve, right? And that, if you go and talk to the business guys saying this is what you should do, they say this is how they will react. And you will actually we have seen people in the board reacting this way. How do I take care of that guy's compliance issue? He always keeps on like making me like fear that I'm going to lose my revenue by this percentage. How do I handle that, right? Now this expression was the same expression some 10 years back in a Velocity conference, when somebody from Fickr, two gentlemen from the Pickle, also and Hammond, actually said that we are going to do deployment, 10 deployments a day for Yahoo's Flickr, right? And everybody at that time, are you out of your senses? The reason why they were saying is because at that time, operations team was sitting outside and not working with developers, right? They came up with a use case and proved it that developers and operations can work together. It is not about technology, it is how you change your mindset and mind share towards it. Yeah, so let's see what we can do towards making that happen. So this is how we actually, you'll see whenever we talk about Sapient, Sapient talks about lots of how, right? And that's where we take pride in saying the how part is something that we do very well. When there is a definition that is defined by an organization, and when there is a destination, right? People say that this is my vision, that is that they have defined their vision. When they say that, okay, this is where with this vision I want to reach there, right? That is the destination. But they forget about like what should be the how part. And that becomes a very difficult task itself. If you read a book by which is called Execution by Dr. Bonchi, something like that, it talks about like how important is to execute. It's important to envision your vision or strategy, but it's also important to execute. So that's where Publicis Sapient comes and do the how part for you. And let's see that how can we actually change a headwind, or how we are changing our headwind towards a tailwind in the space of security. For that, what we have to do is that we have to really understand like security much better, right? Security in the context of the various changes that have happened in the industry, or the evolution of technology and how technology has become so simple and more commoditized, right? Gone are the days where you would actually like to go out and build fortresses to protect your digital assets, right? Gone are the days where you have to protect your people, your cities, your sectors by building up fortresses. Those days are gone, right? You used to have like bomb-proof data centers. You may not want to have bomb-proof data centers for yourself anymore. There's somebody out there who will be doing that for you, right? So you have to like reimagine your IT in context of security, whether you want to really spend mammoth amount of money to build fortresses, which if configured badly, can get compromised. And then what happens is that we have to also look at what should be the mind share and mindset change that we need to happen. Do we really continue to be like this, where somebody have this authority to come and say, stop, I'm going to check you for all these things, no matter how important work that you're going for, you'll get delayed, right? Are these two roles that you see on the screen, do these two roles have to be redefined? Or each individual have to have a different mind share in order to be a better humanity? So if you look at humanity here and the digital humanity that we are talking about and we are living in, it is very similar. So you have to really look at it, how we are going to look at re-engineering our mindset so that we actually activate a different mind share across the board, right? So when we actually do that, what we are saying is that when you talk about those two roles, the two roles that we saw about the guy who's the security guy and the guy who are developing things and the operations guys, how do we do that? So we have to be very participative in that. When I say participative in that, that means whenever you are designing something, talking about something, please do send them invite too. Help them understand what is the importance of that conversation when you are putting a design together, right? Ask them to come and collaborate, right? It is not that somebody from a very senior guy from the boardroom or a VP would tell you that, oh, go and collaborate. The guy will come with a scratch pad and will be only scratching anything and would not do anything. Try to drive that change about collaboration from both the sides, right? That's why we say let people participate in it. Do not say no for the security guys, because the first thing that they say is, no, this cannot go forward. No, this cannot go forward. So lean in, get inside the game, and then figure out. Otherwise, it is very difficult to understand the nuances of a wrestling game sitting at the TV, right? And taking calls on looking at what's happening inside the TV or inside that match that is happening. Review and prioritize vulnerabilities in the context of the business that you are running. It is not necessary that you have to have a checklist which is standard and that checklist is actually put against everybody and everybody is evaluated against that checklist. You might have a digital asset that needs to go live and that is there only for the brand equity's sake, and that it doesn't need to have to go through all kind of 133 checklist of ISO 27001. Go out and take a decision on that. Right? ISO 27000, people generally say that I run an ISO 27001. It is their responsibility or it is their ask that I am actually coming to you. It is not that. It is saying that these are the 133 controls, implement in context of your business and get a trade-off. Rely on cross-functional and team and industry knowledge. if you do not know the industry, it is very difficult to basically, do it things from outside. So knowing and nuances of the industry is very important. And the other part is, as everybody is talking about data, leverage data. If there is a norm that is out there, written out there, there is a compliance that is written out there, make sure that you understand the aspect of that compliance and understand your own space of digital asset that you are running or owning. Collect the data, get the insight from the data, and then have a logical conversation which is much more fruitful, much more positive, and much more progressive. Get the insights from them. Yeah, as I said, get away from the paperwork, right? Most of the companies that I visit, they said like, I have this 133 control of ISO 27001, and I've been there because I rolled out ISO 27001 for Sapient, right? It does say that these are the controls for you to get yourself consistent, secure for your all the information, but it doesn't mandate. Make sure you understand that difference between recommendation and mandate. Right? And the mandate will only come when you feel that a particular, what happened? When a particular contour is applicable for you, and then you can be very strict towards that control and then implement that. I talked about this. And then this one is very important when you actually talk, when humans get involved, caring is sharing. Do not threat people. When you threat, oh yeah, this is, thank you. So this is what my experience has been, is that when you try to threat somebody, there would be like 90% of the people who would actually go out and listen to you. At the back of you, they'll actually say all kind of good words to you, right? Then the 10% who are left would actually make so much of noise, so much of problem for you that your peace of mind will go away. So have a collaborative, participative, leaning in conversation, right? Do not hold it tightly. Nahi jaane dunga yahan se aage, right? That conversation is something that is not about like very progressive conversation. I'll tell you one great example that happened very recently, like 3 years back. When we got acquired, our security lead got actually elevated to the global security office for Publicis. And in that context, when he started getting in, the security organization at Publicis was the most hated one. There were many, but security was topping the chart. And it was because that always they used to say no. Here is the mandate, get lost. Here is the mandate, get lost, right? Now that conversation is a conversation that is a no-starter conversation. When our person got up, he actually started having a conversation. Oh, you want to take this digital asset to production? I am with you on that. But do you realize these kind of risks? Are you willing to take this risk on your portfolio? It might result into this kind of losses. If business says yes, you have priced them, right? You can stick to some of very crucial ones, but let them go, right? And all of a sudden, the entire paradigm of relationship starts changing. And now it is a go-to team as of today for Publicis. Yeah, you need to give me 5 minutes more, just 5. Let me quickly run through this. We can actually have a more conversation below that, how we do it like in terms of engineering. This is a busy chart. In this, what we are saying about inclusiveness, about security. When you are actually running your entire development cycle, every aspect you have introduced role for security, let them be there, respect that role of security, and let them participate in that aspect, right? Get them into the security aspect, let them give their views, and once that view is in, right, you have already started having a conversation of stronger bond, which will give you a stronger relationship, so things will move much more quicker. And if you look at the organization in which, earlier if you will look at, there used to be a development, which is at the core here, right? Business used to give requirement only to development, right? And then the development we used to give in requirement to operations. That is how they used to work long time back. Now what we are saying is, let's make development at the core, let all the information come to the development, but let them collaborate with security as well, let them collaborate with operations as well. And that's where you see, when you put operations and development together, it became DevOps 10 years back. And now another change that is happening, you are getting the security in the aspect of development. You are actually saying that development become DevSecOps. That's the way, that's the changes that are happening as of today. Lots of progressive organizations have adapted it. It is not easy. It is a journey of making people's mindset change. And also about the craft, right? We are not saying that as we move forward, right, the security guys' job will go away. The way things have to happen, the developers have to expand its knowledge towards operations and security till the intermediate level, and they became a comb-shaped talent, right? And then you become a person of like a T-shaped talent, where you have actually more depth in your subject, in your domain, whether it is security or operations, where you actually guide them when big decisions or complex decisions have to happen. And then you have got like really the SMEs, the Navy SEALs, who are like I-shape, where they know the subject very well, in depth, no matter what, right? So they are the go-to person when something really get loose. So that's the organization change and the engineering change that we are also driving. Think about that, how this change in people will happen with respect to talent and also with respect to the thought process. Yeah, and that's pretty much from my side. Yeah.
So we can take 2 questions.
We can take 2 questions. Yeah. There's a mic there. Don't ask me a difficult question, please.
Sir, you can judge whether it is simple or difficult.
Okay.
So for me, DevSecOps is like getting security at each stage of the SDLC. That's my point of view of putting it. So assume it for a minute, I am a developer.
Yeah.
And I'm planning and I'm writing code.
Yep.
What practices should I follow to ensure that I am taking care of DevSecOps as a practice, and as and when my code get deployed in the production environment, it does not have any security vulnerability. So any best practices around that?
So more than the best practices, sorry, I didn't get your name.
Deepak.
Deepak. So Deepak, so more than the best practices, I think fundamentally you have to understand the domain first. That's the beginning of it. Yeah, and then tools, learning tools are easier part, right? So as we progress in actually talent growth, we actually first get the very basic of what is security, right? If people do not have that knowledge, and then depending on what kind of tool set that your organization have adopted, you actually get that in. After that, you basically then decide which digital asset are you working on, what are the places where interventions that you have to do for security and the tools, and then you proceed further on that.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry to cut it short. So Wasim, you can also ask 2 questions to the audience. Yeah, you can ask.
I have to ask question too?
You can ask the question to the audience. Yeah.
I know I do. Okay. I was just like, so tough question. Yeah, the basic question. Who do you think is driving the biggest change? I've not completed my question. I'll change it. Who do you think is driving and leveraging the biggest change that is happening through technology and is now forcing organization to fall in line? Yeah, I think you got the customer. And is that you? You are a customer. Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Is it the right answer? Yeah.
Is the right answer, yeah.
Okay. Ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to me very attentively. Thank you so much.
One more question.
What is the biggest change that we have to like get in order to move much more quicker and more lean and more efficient and happy? I guess like we got the first lady first put the hand like the back. Oh, lady put. I'm sorry. Oh, we'll have one for you as well. Culture and mindset of the people and mind share. That is correct. Mind. Yeah, give her the prize. Was your answer the same? Yes. Good. You still, I owe you one.
Okay.
Come. What's your name?
Okay. So,
This is for Sukanya.
yeah. Ma'am, can you please come over the stage?
How
You
come
can
your
give her
voice
as
like
well.
is louder than mine?
I'm using the static mic. Yeah.
You did not get the thunder of it, but you still get the prize. Oh yeah, we should definitely talk. I love to talk about cultures and food.
Thank you, Mr. Wasim. May I now request Mr. Sanjay Chandru, Director of DevOps at IBM, to felicitate the speaker.
We are brothers from the different mother, yeah? How are you? Thank you so much. Have you done a good job? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wasim. We'll now move on to the next session.
Sorry.
Yeah. So again, the poll is on. You can keep submitting your responses, the feedback about the session.